Welcome back. So today we're going to factorize linear expressions. I just called this advanced because now we're going to factorize. We have to find our highest common factor, but then we have an x term we have to deal with in both terms, in both sides of our operator. So we're going to start off the same way, finding our highest common factor between the terms. So I'm going to skip over a little bit quicker because we've done a highest common factor so far. So I'm just going to state our highest common factor. Here it is simply 3. So our highest common factor is 3 here. Okay. So step 2 is still the same. We just want to write our expression, but with our in terms of our highest common factor. So let's break up all parts of our expression. So 3 times by x times by x, because we can break up x squared as x times x. And then 3 times by 3 to make our 9. And then just times by the other x over here. So notice, very similar. The only thing we had to do is break up our variable too. So this is the part that we are going to just start changing a little bit. It's just a little addition. So 2b is kind of just what we did above there. So 3, we're going to start writing our highest common factor out on that left-hand side. So we write our 3, and then we cross it out of each side. Now let's look. Well, is there anything else that is common in both? If you said x, yeah, there's an x in both. So I'm going to cross out this x here and this x here. Doesn't matter what x you cross out as long as you cross out 1 on each side. But remember, if we cross it out, we have to write it at the front here. At this point, whatever we're on step 4, whatever we haven't crossed out, we put it on the inside. That hasn't changed one bit, so x plus 3. So, and to prove, because we were doing this in our last video, we can do a little bit of a check. I might not always do the check myself, because I've done this for a while, so I can kind of do it by spotting the differences. But if you need to, I would always recommend doing one, because as you could see in the last video, I had that mistake, and my check helped me recover the question. So here, we're going to do our 3x times by x, and we're going to, there we get 3, and x times x, we get an x squared, remember? And then we have 3x times 3, so that 3 times 3 is 9, and x. And that is exactly what we started with, so we know we've done it right. So next question, we're going to do x squared plus 8x. So x squared and 8x. So what's our highest common factor between 1 and 8? Well, that's just 1, right? So we're just going to write it as 1 times by x times by x. Okay? And the reason that I'm doing the 1 out front is because what happens if if it was just 1x, right? And we had to factor out a 1x, we'd be left with nothing, and it can sometimes confuse people. So I always write a 1 there just in case for that reason. So here, what can we factor out? Well, here, all we can factor out is an x. Then we're going to close our brackets and cross that out of each expression so we don't forget what's left. Now we look what's in the inside. We can write 1, I'm going to write 1x plus 8. But at the very end, to write my final answer, I am going to take out that x on the inside because we don't care about having, we know that we have 1x. We don't need to include it. Next example, example 3. Let's find our highest common factor between 4 and 10. So our highest common factor here is 2. If you're having trouble with highest common factors, go watch the highest common factor video. It can help you out lots. So here we want to break up our expression, so it's going to be 2 times by 2 times by x times by x plus 2 times by 5 times by x. So here, let's cross over 2, cross over 2, write our 2 outside. Is there anything else we can cross out? Yeah, there's another x. So there's an x here and an x there. Cross it out, write it outside. As soon as you've found that you have nothing left, write what's on the inside or what's left on the inside. So 2x plus 5. Since this one is a little bit more difficult, let's do a check. Like I said, you don't always have to do a check. Do it when you think, hey, is there a possibility I made a mistake? Then it can help out there. So we have 2x bracket 2x plus 5. So 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. And then 2x times 5, well, 2 times 5 is 10, and x. Indeed, that's what we started with. So example 4, we have 3x squared minus 6x. Once the program decides to catch up. Okay, 3x squared. Sorry about that. We have 3x squared and negative 6x. So here, our highest common factor is indeed 3. So let's write our expression in terms of 3 on both sides. So 3 times by x times by x minus 3, or let's leave it as a plus, times by, because that's what we were doing last time, negative x. Now we can write 3 on the outside and cross it out. Anything else? Well, we have an x over here we can cross out. So let's cross out that. Cross out an x over here. So we have 3 and x. And what are we left on the inside? Well, we're left with x and minus. Oh, what do we minus? Did we make a mistake? Oh, yeah. Well, of course. We didn't write the times 2 over here, right? So always go back and check your work. When in doubt, just work backwards through the same exact steps that got you on the way there. So if we times on the way there, you divide on the way back. Simple as that. So x minus 2. And quickly, we can do 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. So you can do your check just in your head if you'd like. And something a little bit more complicated, what happens when we have two different kinds of variables and numbers? So our highest common factor, again, between 3 and 6 is simply 3, right? So we want to write each expression as 3 times by negative 2 times by y times by y. And then our second one, we have 3 times by x times by y. Okay. We want to write our 3 out front because that was our highest common factor, and then we can cross it out. What do we have left that might be the same? Well, we have a y in each, so we'll cross out a y in each and then write it beside the 3. What are we left with? Well, we're left with negative 2y. And then in the second term, we're left with just x. So there you go. That is all factorized. So we're going to move on to some practice questions. So there are 10 practice questions this time. So I want you to try these now, pause the video, and then once you're ready, press play. If you need to pause it again, that's fine. I'm going to go through them one by one. So best of luck. Okay, so welcome back. So we're going to work on these ones. So highest common factor between 2 and 1 is simply 1. So we're going to write this as 1 times by 2 times by x times by x plus 1 times by x. Okay. So now actually, I'm going to take that 1 out of the front so, as to not make you cross it out. So here, we're not actually going to factor out a number, right? But we can factor out an x, put a bracket, and we're going to cancel it in both sides. The reason I left that tricky one is for the reasons before that I said, because we're left with 2x plus 1. That's where we're allowed to get that 1. Next one we're going to work with is our 5x squared and 10x. Our highest common factor is 5, so we're going to write it as 5 times by x, and then we're going to go plus 5 times 2 times x. We're going to find that we cross out our 5s, we can cross out an x, we have 5x, 5x bracket x plus 2. Next one, our highest common factor is 3. So we want to write as 3 times by x plus 3 times by 5 times by x. Cross out the 3's, cross out an x, and we're left with, we have 3 x bracket x plus 5. So moving on to the next one. What's our highest common factor between 7 and 49? Well, 7 times 7 is 49. So we're going to have to factor out, we can break that up into 7 times by x plus 7 times by 7 times by x times by x. We can cross out a 7 and an x on both sides. Write it out front of our brackets. What are we left with? Well, we're left with 1 plus 7x. Question 5. I'm going to start moving a little quicker. So here we can, I can see that, well, between 3, 6, and 5, those are all different numbers. Well, 3 and 5 are prime numbers, so we're not going to be able to factor out a number. But we do have an x in each expression, so you might be able to do what I do and just skip right and be like, okay, well, the only thing that's changing is I'm going to decrease the power of x on every single term by 1. And you get as such. Moving over to the top side on the right, we're looking at question 6. So we have 2x squared minus x. So we're going to write this first one as 2 times by x times by x. On this side, we're going to write as minus 1 times by x. Because you always want to include a 1 just in case, right? So always include a number. If you have to just put a 1 in, that's fine because it will help you out later. So what can we factor out? Well, we have an x in each, so let's cross out an x right in front of our bracket. Then write our bracket. What are we left with is 2x and minus 1, and we're done. Question 7. Question 7, well, our highest common factor between 3 and 3 is 3. So we can write it as 3 times by x minus 3 times by x And you're going to find a little problem here, but hopefully after you've seen them kind of trend with what happens when you factor both your number and your variable, it's going to make it, you'll start to pop out that, hey, when I need it, I can always just put a 1. So here we're factoring out a 3 and an x, crossing it out as we go in both. We're left with x minus 1. Here our highest common factor, oops, sorry, I want to change color. Here our highest common factor is 2. So we can break it up as 2 times by 5 times by x minus 2 times by 2 times by x. Cross out a 2 in both, cross out an x in both. Then we have 2x on our outside, bracket 5x minus 2. So same thing with this one, is it has a common factor of 2. So 2 times by 5 makes 10 times by x. That's our first term. And we're minus 2 times by 2 times by x times by x. So what is common? Well, we have a 2 in both and we have an x in both. So we're going to write it as 2x, 5, so 5 is left over, minus 2x. Notice, while they look similar, 8 and 9, give very different answers, because the 5 has the x in the first one, and the 2 has the x in the second one, or the negative 2. Last but not least, something that just looks a little bit different from what we've been dealing with. So here, our highest number we can factor out is a 2. So let's break it up as 2 times by x times by x plus 2 times by 2 times by y plus, sorry, I'm actually going to erase that, change the pen, or move down so it all goes on one line. So here, we're going to write it as 2 times by x times by x plus 2 times by y times by y minus 2 times by 3. So here, can we see anything that's common? Well, yeah, we have a 2 that's common, so we can bring out that 2. But besides that, we really can't bring out anything else. So we're going to leave all the variables as they are, or as they were originally. So x squared plus y squared, and we're just going to have to change that to a 3. And I forgot that it's plus 2y squared. So hope you enjoy the video. See you on the next one.